should not have taken my phone off the tripod in the first place. That's gonna fall over. Is it? No. Success, kind of. We're very crooked, but we'll take it. Are we kind of straight? Not really, but we're going with it anyways. Okay. Well, hello there and welcome to my channel. I just filmed my November, December TBR. Clearly, I'm all over the place at the moment. I desperately, first of all, am not in this frame at all. So I just finished my December TBR. I thought about doing like a full December reset, but don't have a bullet journal at the moment. We'll get to that next year, hopefully, because I had one last year and then I wanted to restart one, like make a new journal for this year. And then I just got overwhelmed and like didn't actually start one because I wanted it to be perfect. And so I just didn't do it because I was scared of messing it up. So then I just never started one. So whoops. So I don't have that at the moment, but I'm hoping 2024 we definitely will. But then I already done my TBR. I've got some bookshelf organization that needs to be happening, but I'm gonna wait until January to do like a full organization. As far as goals for the month, I definitely have some like yearly things that I am looking forward to next year, and I kind of wanted to mentally work through some of those like ideas and like intentions and things that I want to do next year, and then circle back with how those are actually going to be measured and like what the goal actually is. But I figured we could just kind of like discuss. I also just feel like chit-chatting, so we're just gonna chit-chat for a little bit today. Cool? Great. Let's get into it. Also, this hair, I washed it this morning and then like blow dried half of it, and I didn't really style it as much as I should, and all of this is just frizzy, and we're just having a moment, and that's okay. Moments are great. We all have them. I have a lot of them. I have an aggressive amount of moments, and we're not gonna talk about that. We already talked about it. Now you're aware. I'm sitting in a pile of books now, and I don't think I've ever been happier. Yeah. Aha, okay. So I want to sit down and think through some of my 2023. I want to sit down and think through some of my 2024 goals. There's a lot of them. I think I wanted to just kind of like word vomit some of my goals before I like put them in a formalized goal sheet for me. And I think biggest thing for me is I felt like last year, as if we're not current, it's not December 1st. I felt like during 2022 was when I really got back into reading, and I just did nothing but find things that I really wanted to read. And I feel like I bought a lot of things that I really wanted to read, and didn't really like leave a lot of room for me to find new things. And so this year I felt like I did a lot of like checking off the list of things that have been recommended as like books everyone should read. And I feel like I've read like a lot of checklist books, if you will, which are good, and they've all been like checklist books for a reason, because obviously they're good if people are recommending them like in mass. And so I got a lot of books that I've wanted to read out of the way this year, which I think is good. But I think next year I want to focus more so on reading like indie fantasy romance, because I felt like I'd excited like Fear the Flames, which I have back here. I wanted to read it all year, but I felt like I was too busy like trying to read other things, if that makes sense. Like other things I've already been on the mental TBR. So things like that kind of come up, I really would like to be able to have like room to read them as I'm fidgeting with Jade City, which is also one of the books that it's been a book that I've been trying to get to all year, and I'm obsessed. So another thing, I don't think that I'm really gonna care about the number of books that I read. Part of me kind of does, because I like to like reading a certain number of books feels fun. But really I did that this year where like I set my Goodreads goal at 60, I set it at 65, which I thought was a huge goal for me, because I previously only read like 54, and that was like booking it for me. And then this year I've read 109 so far, I think. Not that again matters, but like you can see I've read almost double the amount of books from last year. I've read double the amount of books that I did last year. Interesting. And I think it's all just because I've started my bookstagram this year, which whenever you are like, the whole thing is that the content you consume is probably your interest in like the things that you're going to be doing more of. So if you both consume and create content, you're probably going to be consuming and creating a lot more content from that arena of things. Like if you've got a bookstagram, you're probably going to read more than you did before. So I think that's been like a fun thing to do this year. But then also I feel like this year that's been very fun. It's definitely helped me read more, but it's also made it like more fun for me to read more, because if you're not like previously in my life, like I don't have any friends like locally that read a whole lot, and so for me to be as emotionally invested in books as I am, it's hard to be able to like connect to people and then just like want to do it more, if that makes sense. So having actual people around to talk to, of course you're gonna be reading more. So that's just been really fun, and I've been glad to kind of have that like both outlet but also the forum from this last year. And so I'm very grateful that I randomly started my Bookstagram, and also just like an easy entry into like creating content about books, and then also like making bookish friends, as opposed to being sad that like nobody that locally lives here, like I don't have any physical, like in-person physical friends, as if people online aren't real people. I don't have any in-person friends that I can talk about books with, and that's very hard. So I'm very thankful that I started my Bookstagram. But a thing for 2024 that I want to do is, obviously, as we're here, start and actually maintain a booktube account. So I watch a lot of booktube. I watch an aggressive amount of booktube. I work from home, and so I just like have it up in the background 24/7 pretty much. And so for as much content as I consume and as many books that I do just naturally read, I feel like I want a more long form content way to talk about things. And so obviously that leads me to booktube. I've wanted to have a YouTube channel for forever, and I've started and posted a couple of random things, but like the fit just never felt right. And I read so much now, and I have so many things to say about books and so many like opinions and things about books that I just feel like this is a good time. So one of the only like hesitation I have about booktube, and it's not even like a real one, it's just the fact that editing takes so long. If you've never edited a video before, it takes a long time, especially if you're someone who is as like wordy as I can be. I just have a lot of things to say and a lot of cuts to make, and it just takes a long time. And I think that like time investment, I've never really been in a place where I've mentally just wanted to do more work, if that makes sense. Like reading isn't work, talking about reading as we're doing here isn't work, but like spending the time to edit and things, you know what I'm saying? Like it does. I am fully aware of how much time it actually takes, and so I've just never had the mental space to have something else to devote this much time to. But I got so aggressively burnt out in college, and now that I'm far enough away from all of that, I feel a lot more balanced in like the work-life balance zone. So I just feel like I have more time and effort to like spend towards another hobby that takes so much time. Basically I'm getting on a soapbox about saying that like, hi, I want to post YouTube videos about books. So here we are. The last thing that I really want to do is actually start and finish more series. I get very intimidated by series sometimes, especially because I know in my head that I want to finish it, and starting, you know, the first book in a series, if you want to finish it, you're adding 2 books on top of that first book that you now have to read, which is definitely not like the correct mindset to have about that, honestly, because I love series. I feel like I'm such more a series reader. Like I love series more than I love standalone books, like because I literally just on my December TBR and have everything set in front of me. But like this, one of the reasons that everyone likes Saktar so much is because there's a giant world connected to it. I mean, that didn't work out how I thought it would. Anyways, there's a lot of, this is a whole like world to go into, and I feel like I get intimidated by series pretty easily, because you look at like Aktar, there's a giant, it's just long, and there's a lot of page count, and obviously that would be intimidating. And so, but I know that I way prefer series, and I just love being that invested and having that much like storytelling that comes kind of full circle. So I feel like this year I didn't do as good of a job at like actually finishing a lot of series, and so 2024 will be the year for series, and I'm very excited about it. I also want to actually use my Kindle Unlimited. It's a lot of books that I've read recently, because really desperately need to figure out a better and like more fun way for me to get through my physical TBR better, because this entire bookshelf, for the most part, most of it's all things that I haven't read yet. And that's like a lot of time and money and ridiculousness to invest and then to not actually read said things. and I'm like running out of bookshelf space, and I'm at like 5 bookshelves. A human being, unless they have actually read everything in those 5 shelves, I'm not gonna say that a human being shouldn't have that many shelves, because do what you want and I support it. But like for me, it feels like a lot, especially when I haven't read as much. I'm curious to count what my read versus not read count of what I own is, but it has to be somewhere under 50, which is rough. Like 50%. Yikes. So I definitely want to actually like catalog everything that I have and like put it in a spreadsheet somewhere. Just so like I have a record of everything that I own in case something happens, because you never know. But then also so I can actually track my progress. Maybe like the Rev, honestly. The other thing, I've had Jade City for a very long time, and like I'm into this book. I've had Mistborn for a hot freaking minute, and I know it's gonna be good, but I just haven't read it yet. Like I haven't gotten to it yet. And there's so much that I own that I just haven't gotten to that I know I'm going to love. And so I just kind of want to like focus it a bit more on my TBR, or on my physical TBR, the books that I already know, as opposed to buying things and then just letting them sit for forever. So I think a good intention to have is not buying a book unless it's like a special edition or like a exclusive edition or something that like you can't just go out and get at any time. The goal of not buying a book just to like go out and shop and have fun and like get a book that I'm excited to read, but I don't necessarily have any active intentions for. But then also to just wait until I'm ready to read said book before I actually go out and get it. That's kind of the gist of things. That's kind of the gist of really everything. I think that's a really good place for my goals to be at, like in terms of the goals that I want to make. I'm gonna have to figure out a specific way. Like I want to do some sort of like physical TBR challenge situation to actually like count that goal. And then some other things, like, and I have some books for like specific goals that I want to make. But I think I like thinking about it now, I now have the rest of the month to kind of solidify that and put some of those things in place. Like I know that I think I want to do like the 12 books recommended by 12 friends next year. And now I got that list ready last year, but my recommendations, I just started Bookstagram and like I hadn't really found my people yet. And so the recommendations that I got were good, I think, but they just weren't like, I don't know, the most books that are in line with like my taste necessarily. And so I think I'm still gonna end up reading those at some point probably, but I want to do that again, but with like new books. So I think I for sure want to do that again this year. And then probably I think I want to do a 24 and 24 again, but do it differently, like plan it out, like include book 2 and 3 in the series and not just book 1. So I think that's a really good starting place as far as goals for next year. And as far as like actually planning all of those out and making them into goals rather than just intentions. Stay tuned for how that actually developed. But it's also something that I've really been wanting, like it's been on my mind, but I've not like sat down and thought about. So just kind of word vomiting is a good starting place. So thanks for letting me word vomit goals. They're not goals yet, they're just intentions. I digress. So 2024 goals we've started to discuss. I have filmed my December TBR separately, which you may or may not have already seen. If you haven't, go watch it. And then I need to restack this. So if you have any ideas on ways to track some of these things, or if you have any like other like projecty things that you think would kind of like align with some of those intentions, desires, if you will, leave a comment down below. I think that's gonna be all for me, dog. Yeah, that's this video. I think it's also kind of cool because you oftentimes see people like have their goals planned out. I clearly don't, so I'm gonna be intrigued to see what we come up with and like how these intentions kind of evolve into how we're actually gonna track these things. So we'll see. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. And if you have any suggestions on maybe you think I should have some other goals or like add to this list, go at it. But if you have any ways to track and or any like ideas for like specific projects or like ways to get through some of those ideas, let me know down below. And anyways, let me know some of your goals because I love getting ideas from each other. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Happy December. Peace out.